These comped rooms are an absolute dream when you're on a blackjack trip. You can fit a handful of card counters and keep expenses low. This week's video, I'm going to recap our second ever Team Vegas trip. We don't have footage of our first Team Vegas trip because we weren't vlogging at this point. We lost close to $29,000 with a team of 4 card counters. Goodyear wasn't 21 at the time, so she wasn't with us on this trip. If she would have been, we probably would have won. Bad variance doesn't seem to happen to Goodyear often. Goodyear has all the good luck. So even though our first trip was extremely stressful and a major flop, we decided to try to tackle Vegas a second time.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Let's get into it. We're going to rewind to May 2024. So this trip was with Goodyear, Kev, Rick, and myself, and this was the bet spread we used. I arrived after everyone else because I was on a different card counting trip, and when I landed, the team was down $7,000. They picked me up from the airport, and we started going to casinos right away. We played a handful of casinos that night, but we were all pretty exhausted from the travel, and so we decided to call it a night and ended day one down $95. This was a long, exhausting day for everyone, especially me, apparently. Rick took this flattering photo of me sleeping. Can't let your guard down for a sec on these trips. Day 2 was a lot more exciting. We hit 22 casinos as a team and won over $24,000. You know, it was a good session when you're counting all your chips in the bathroom. Goodyear stayed up all night and had this monster session. I like how she logged it in our results tracker. When she got back to the hotel room that night, we were just waking up to go to the Digital Social Hour podcast, and Goodyear just had to crash. I drove Rick to the podcast, and this was such an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
It was really cool to see what a real production setup looks like.
All right, guys, we're talking Blackjack today. We got Rick from Blackjack Advisors here. Thanks for coming on, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You had a good run yesterday. We were just talking about it.
Yeah, it's good. So we just flew in yesterday. We got a couple podcasts to do, and we're going to make a team trip out of it because that's what pays the bills these days. So.
Yeah.
After the podcast, we grabbed a bite to eat and immediately started playing casinos. We played around 13 casinos as a team.
Carla, 700. No card.
Okay.
This one, one black, one yellow, one purple.
The audio from this session was extremely spotty, so I'm going to go over some of the things that are going on in our heads when we sit down at a blackjack table. First thing I'm going to address is the buy-in. A lot of advantage players want to sit down and buy in a large amount so that they don't have to worry about all the little buy-ins throughout messing up their count, but this can be a red flag. When we sit down at a table, we want to look like a gambler. We don't want to buy in $3,000 and then start playing table minimum. So for a $50 minimum table, Goodyear bought in $700. If it was a $25 minimum, I'd buy in around $300 to $400. And it takes some time and practice, but you're going to want to look comfortable at the table. Don't be looking around or making eye contact with the pit boss. Now, that may seem obvious, but it's easier said than done when you're being watched so closely. The next thing you're going to want to be prepared for is them pushing you to get a player's card. It's their job to sign people up for these cards. They're going to try to be hospitable and keep people playing at their games for longer. Now, we all kind of have our individual stories for why we don't want a player's card. We each have practiced what to say, and none of our stories are the same, so we don't even want to share them on here. So come up with your own, but be prepared to politely decline. Sometimes they are very pushy about this. You want your cover play and story to make sense. Now, this session was an example of a time that Goodyear just got to pay rent for a while and then was asked to leave before she was even able to fluctuate her bets.
Just as I suspected, the session lasted 4 minutes. Tough sledding.
We ended day 3 up $36,000. It's definitely on my bucket list to try Hell's Kitchen. I'm a big fan of watching Chef Ramsay yell at people on TV. Day 4, we played 16 casinos, and Rick had our team's biggest session for the trip. He won over $16,000 in less than an hour. He did manage to get a photo of splitting tens, which resulted in a $6,000 win. Just so crazy to me that results like that are even possible. We ended Day 4 over $54,000. We checked into another comped room. They only usually give you 2 to 4 nights per trip. The view from here was unreal. We've got to have some of the coolest experiences ever playing Advantage Blackjack together.
Power pressure is working.
We were all on cloud 9. The winning trips are just so unbelievably fun. Still very stressful, but fun. Day 5 was a bit of a losing day. We played 15 casinos, and our trip total was at $45,000 after that day. Still great, can't complain. Goodyear ordered this chocolate cake from room service. They even comp you a certain amount of money to use. We're sure to use every dollar they give us. This was a bit of a leisurely trip for us. We decided to call it early and we went to Topgolf. Here I go, letting my guard down again. Goodyear's a guru at taking footage discreetly. We also went to nice meals. It was just fun to do this as a team.
Pulled up next to a cyber track in Vegas.
Doesn't even look real.
Our last day was day 6, and another losing day, we lost a few grand. So let's recap, shall we? Rick had our team's biggest session at $16,350. Goodyear came in second at $15,600. Kev came in third at $7,100. And I came in last at $6,750. We all did great and tried our best. Participation medals all around.
And Uber was only $26. So that was nice.
How many different angles are you?
I'm getting every angle.
Here's what our results tracker looked like after 6 days of play. When you go on a trip like this, you have to factor expenses. Fortunately for us, all of our rooms were comped. This saves us a lot of money, and we get to stay in very nice rooms because of it. Rick would be getting us dives otherwise. So we just had the expenses of flights, a rental vehicle, and food. So we did all get paid very well on this trip. The blue line that you see there is our expected value, and the yellow line represents our actual earnings. So we were paid exactly what the math predicted. This prediction is based on us logging in our results tracker each of our sessions. We use the Blackjack apprenticeship software. BJA makes it so easy on Advantage players. It's the simplest way to make sure all your numbers are correct. If you go over here to more stats, it's going to provide you additional details. 41 winning sessions, 33 losing sessions. It shows your biggest win and biggest loss. I may also have to take credit for the biggest loss on this trip. It always sucks when that's higher than your biggest win, but at least it wasn't higher than Goodyear and Rick's biggest wins. Our peak on this trip was $55,555. It's nice when you leave at the peak of your trip, but that won't always happen. A common misconception with card counting is that you're going to win every session. As you can see, that is not the case. We definitely have losing sessions, but we're playing like the casino, which means we're going to win more than we lose in the long run. We ended a week card counting trip up $42,000. We were all absolutely thrilled with those results, especially after our first Vegas trip. We also got to have one of the peak moments of our card counting careers together, which was meeting Colin Jones. If you don't know who Colin Jones is, he's a Blackjack legend and one of the founders of Blackjack Apprenticeship. Blackjack Apprenticeship taught us everything we know. It's the only tool we've used to get us where we are today. I really can't give them enough credit. If you want to learn how to become an Advantage Blackjack player, that's the course to use. I'll link it below. I'll also link below our podcast with him, Rick's $1 Million Card Counting Team. When we got to the podcast and he opened the door, we were all trying to be cool, but freaking out inside. That was a very big moment for all of us. If you're interested in learning what we do from us, our team of 6 card counters hosts 4 live training sessions per week, showing you exactly how we play in the casino. Now, I cannot stress enough, this does not replace Blackjack Apprenticeship. It is an add-on where we host live training sessions, but you will need the pro betting software, Casino 411. It comes with a training suite. Blackjack Apprenticeship really does have everything you need for your career as an advantage Blackjack player. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Goodyear and I try to put out weekly videos.